Hello again, everybody. We are here for Game 3 of Glaive eSports versus Omega Gaming Unleashed. I'm Gordo. I'm joined by Rudude. See what happens in the draft.
Yeah, we've got a big game 3 here coming up for you guys, and should definitely be an exciting one. We've seen two games here where both teams have managed to pretty much dominate the other one via top lane advantages translating across the map. So we'll be interested to see if we see a more top-heavy team or top-heavy focus come out in game number 3.
Yeah, both teams sticking with the same bans that they brought out last game. So far, we're looking at the salty run back with the first pick Samira as well as the 3 bans on each side.
Yeah, and this is very reminiscent of the first draft, or the second draft rather, and quite similar to draft number 2. But this time around, with Graves being hovered here, might see the Lilia go into the other hand, or maybe just not at all here. So Malcolm taking the Graves for himself can have that little bit better dueling potential in the early game.
Yeah, and this is the adjustment out of Omega Gaming, going for that Graves jungle instead of the Lilia that they picked in games 1 and 2. They were really unable to see a lot of influence from their Lilia pick being nullified by the Graves last game, so they're going to pick up that Graves for themselves, along with a Senna pick.
Yeah, the Senna pick, obviously something that we've seen differently here. They're going to take the Senna into the Samira here, and it's going to give them a little bit more sustain in the lane and also give Unleashed a little bit of a scaling option into the late game. And Glaive here opting into the Swain pick. This is a lot of CC potential down on this bot side because both of these champions rely on the other one CCing, and as soon as the Swain hits a root, the Samira is then able to knock up, and then the Swain is able to drag back. So you get hit by one skill shot, and you essentially have about 3 or 4 seconds worth of layered CC available to you.
Yeah, and who would have guessed that Swain would be a major contested pick in this series here as the Irelia is locked in as well for Panda. Definitely something to be excited about. Panda, a big Irelia player, going to be being put on that in this clutch Game 3 scenario for Glaive eSports.
Yeah, pretty much the sort of franchised pick for him at this point, and it's definitely what he would want to be on in a Game 3 scenario. So we'll have to see if Unleashed have prepped for this and if they're ready for an answer to go into this Aurelia, because if I know Princeton, it feels like he wouldn't want to sort of take this matchup lying down and just sort of sit on a Karma and go, okay, you can do what you want and I'll just let you run around. It feels like, with Yone still open, the potential for an Akali, maybe something along those lines comes out as well. There's a lot of different picks that could try and go 1-for-1 in this mid lane and begin to generate a new meta around this mid lane.
Yeah, I also want to keep an eye on flex pick potential here for Glaive. We saw them flex their Samira and Ziggs pick between bot and mid last game, sending the Samira mid with the Ziggs bottom unexpectedly out of the draft. We could see that exact same thing happening in this game. We can see that the Irelia could definitely be considered a flex pick, something that Miho and Panda both play a very good amount of in solo queue. And also this Swain, which could realistically go almost anywhere. We saw it in support last game, so we're kind of expecting it to go there, but there's not really a reason that you can't throw the Swain top or mid lane. You wouldn't want to play it into the Maokai, but it's an opportunity that exists.
Yeah, and then you obviously with that generate the even greater flex potential. I mean, I like you just said, would expect it to go into the support role and don't think that it has a particularly great time in the top side, but there is an argument to be made for also Swain bot lane. I mean, obviously with the Samira locked in, we're gonna most likely not see it, but Conqueror Swain is actually really strong right now. I think that people are sleeping on Swain as a champion itself, and that there's definitely a very big potential for this to go into a Conqueror position here.
Yeah, the Swain bot lane, something that we've seen out of UOL over at Worlds quite a bit coming out of Gadget here. And, you say with the Samira, we don't expect it to go bot, but we could have said that last game with the Ziggs pick. And yet they ended up flexing the Samira to mid and sending Ziggs bot. So not outside of the realm of possibility that Panda might be on this Swain, but laning down bot with Sleepy Voice.
Yeah, and that is the Akali there locked in on Unleashed side. Definitely going to go into the mid lane with the Maokai locked up here, and interesting pick right there. Looks like the Annie going to get
Is
locked
that the
in.
classic Annie support? Is that my X special?
I think surely this Annie just goes into account of the Akali, and they flex the Aurelia to the top lane.
That's also very
I
possible. We could
think that's
expect to
what it
still see
is.
the Swain in bot lane. I don't know. I don't know where Annie's best role in competitive is anymore. I would probably guess in a vacuum that it would be a support over a mid laner, but
I,
anything is certainly possible.
I'm pretty sure it just goes into the Akali and should beat the Akali. At least they feel like that mid matchup is not the worst for an Annie, right? You just stun the Akali and pretty much blow her up before anything happens. But this is gonna be a spicy draft no matter what happens, right? We're gonna have Irelia, we're gonna have Annie, and it looks like set jungle. So this is this is gonna be
Oh,
interesting.
and there's a Garen. This draft is
Okay.
off the rails.
Is this
This
Maokai
is going to be
support?
the Senna Garen bot lane. I think this is going to be the fasting Senna with a farming Garen. I believe
I wanna I
this is
wanna
the
one up
Yuumi
you.
Garen of the future.
I wanna one up you and say it's Senna Maokai bot lane.
Oh, you're
I don't.
probably right.
I say that because I've seen Madman play Garen quite consistently, quite a few times here. They've very often just picked him the Garen into Juggernaut matchup and just gone, you know what, take it away. And
Yeah, you do.
also adjustment in Vikro have actually played a fair bit previously of Senna Maokai fasting strategy. So I'm not sure whether they're going to fast the Senna or not, but this is just flex picks everywhere. I could make 17 predictions and still get something wrong. Like this is super difficult to try and predict.
Oh, for sure. I do definitely think I agree with you on the Maokai most likely being down bot with the Senna. But certainly exciting to imagine seeing Garen bot lane once again. I know everybody loved that pick last year and would be thrilled to have it back in the meta.
It's it's just absolute chaos, to be honest. Uh, we're gonna get loaded up here into the client select, and I'm just excited, just as excited as everybody else here to see where things are going because we can make all the predictions we want. I'm gonna quickly before we get the bands going. I'm gonna do blue side picks. You're gonna do red side picks, okay?
Okay,
Okay, so I'm
you go
going
first.
top lane Irelia, jungle set,
Okay,
Annie mid lane, Samira Swain bot lane.
all right. For red side, I'm definitely feeling the Garen top. It's got to be Graves jungle, Akali mid, Senna Maokai bot. I'm gonna say not fasting Senna. I'm gonna say adjustment is farming.
Yeah, okay. And we'll see how correct we are. We'll see how we'll see how useful we are as
Yeah,
casters in fact here.
I'm certainly excited to see it get solidified for sure. Something also to keep in mind that we learned last game is the players could potentially be flexed around, at least on the Glaive side. Last game we saw Panda and Boost taking champions that they meant to play in each other's roles. You know, Panda was able to flex down bot lane and play with Sleepy Voice and boosted success. Felt comfortable laning mid against Princeton, so we could even see something like that coming out.
Yeah, there's just so much opportunity for either of these teams to go absolutely anywhere here. And so far we're what we're one for one and two for two so far. So
We're 3 for 3. We'll call it. We can combine
that
them. 4 for
works.
4. All right, we got it. I think we called it. I think we figured out the whole draft.
At this point, I think we made it. Um, this is this is pretty good. Now all we have to wait to do is to see
Yeah,
which
no, the Maokai mid threat is dodged now. I'm pretty confident.
the Akali Senna bot lane has been removed from the situation, and now we just have to see who is going to be farming down on the bot side of the map for Unleashed here. I, like you, expect it to be adjustment on the Senna. He's very comfortable on this champion. Played a lot of games of Senna just in the season, and also solo queue as well. So we have to keep our eyes on it. But from what looks like very wacky all over the map compositions, we've drafted some fairly age old matchups here. We've got Garen into Aurelia. This sort of dynamic top lane duo that have been around for ages, have gone by, and reworks have happened, but they've still remained staples of just top lane integrity. I feel like obviously Aurelia is drafted more into the mid lane role these days, but Aurelia one tricks of old have always had a special place in their heart for this new Aurelia, and taking it into the top lane is definitely possible here. or not possible,
Yeah,
but
and
it just
definitely the
happened.
story of this game's solo lanes is going to come down to the high mechanics, high execution picks, just against the straight face roll 450 IP champions. Uh,
Hmm.
seeing that incredibly the straightforward play styles, we'll call it, of the Annie and the Garen coming against the flexible options brought out by the Irelia and the Akali. Definitely going to be a big proving moment for both Princeton and Miho on these high mechanics picks. You know, when you're picked by a really straightforward counter and you just have to survive that matchup, where maybe you can't always just mechanically outplay somebody who's got point and click abilities. You got to focus in on your macro play, you got to focus in on your awareness, and you got to find a way to still be effective even when counterpicked like that.
Exactly, and this is a completely different take for Miho in the top side, right? Game number one, we saw him get absolutely brutalized by a Mordekaiser. Game number two, he turned up on a Zac top lane of all things. This time, he's on an Irelia, a completely different take from anything that we'd seen in the previous series, or in the series gone by. And he's going to have to actually demonstrate the skill that warrants an Irelia flex. Right? They picked this Irelia thinking it was going to go mid lane and tried to bait Unleashed into picking into it, and it's we'll have to see if and definitely find out afterwards if Unleashed knew that this was a double flex, because I'm pretty sure they'll have done their homework and know that this could have been a double. So it feels like, you know, we don't know for certain, but that both of these teams have just gone, aha, it's Irelia mid lane, and then they've gone, oh no, Irelia mid lane, oh no, and then they've gone, aha, it's top lane, and then they've gone, oh no, we didn't know that, and I mean, that is the power of Red Side, that you have all of the information available to you to start flexing things around, and I feel like Unleashed have played around this Irelia pick quite well.
Yeah, and this is definitely going to be a clash of team comp styles as well, as we can see that we're going to expect Omega Gaming here probably going to be a bit more focused on the side laning with the Akali and the Garen picks, just trying to last it out, clearing waves, 1-3-1ing, whereas you got to feel like Glaive eSports here really wants to go for the team fight. They're going to have that big Annie ultimate for the stuns, they're going to have the Swain ultimate in those team fights, they're going to have the set going for superplexes and face breakers in the middle of the whole enemy team. Uh, Definitely going to be interesting to see how this game plays out and how these teams are able to leverage their individual advantages.
Exactly, and I think with that being said and done, we'll cut it to the short intermission here, just before the game starts up. We got about a minute left before we get into that one. So guys, don't go anywhere. This is game number 3, Omega Gaming Unleashed versus Glaive Esports Violet here. So don't touch that browser. Me and Gordo, we're going to be right back after this short intermission here.
See you soon. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Game 3 of Glaive eSports versus Omega Gaming Unleashed. I'm Gordo, once again joined by Rudude, bringing you every bit of Games 1 and 2, here again for Game number 3. Rudude, how's it going?
It's going pretty well, and just to confirm for everybody, we did go 10 for 10 this game, and I mean 10 and a half as well if we count Fasting Senna not being applied this game. The Doran's played in Adjustments Inventory finally gives us the absolute clarity that we've got every single pick absolutely correct here, and a Senna with a man immune is what we're expecting to see early on.
Yeah, no, definitely does not appear to be any crazy swaps coming in from Panda and Boost this game, so we are going to be seeing everybody in the roles that we would expect to see them in.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to, keep an eye on it because it looked similar last game, but I feel like Annie Swain bot lane doesn't have the sort of ring to it that I'd like the Samira Swain bot lane to go with. I think that the level of CC they're going to have in this bot side through just one tether is going to be absolutely insane.
Yeah, and Adjustment going to be going with the TP here, definitely, and Viscero with the Exhaust versus the Heal and Ignite. Can definitely see what lane here is going to be expecting to just try to farm it out, keep things passive, and what lane is going to be looking to make some violence happen.
Yeah, exactly. It's just going to be the solo lane show, essentially, for Unleashed this time round. I mean, I say this time round, pretty much every game that we've seen this series has been the solo lane show, and Adjustment and Vic are quite often left on their own little island down in the bot lane to sort of do what they want. But with Akali, Garen solo lanes, you kind of expect some aggressive trades to be going off, and we see already Madman up on the top side is not hesitant with his Qs.
Yeah, definitely not going to be a lot of counterplay there available for Miho. Just going to be bringing in that Garen Q over and over again, trying to deal as much damage as he can in the early levels, knowing that Irelia can't really reply. The decisive strike's just going to be coming over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, voice crack, hello. And then you have to obviously account for the fact that the junglers can perform some ganking maneuvers up on this top side, and Madman paying respect as well. Lunarhawk has the ability to be here, and he sees him on the ward, doesn't see him on any ward actually, and this is just going to be a top gank.
Yeah, no, Lunarhawk coming in on the early gank here, trying to put the Irelia ahead. He's going to get sucked back in and stunned with the face breaker, and that's going to be first blood picked up by Lunarhawk.
Yeah, and that's just a classic level 3 gank here. 3 camp into the top side pre 3 minutes. Madman hadn't warded, and he's going to get caught out by this farming, or this jungle set here.
Yeah, and that's going to be an engage from Vicro onto Boosted Success. Boosted Success taking a bunch of damage, and in the lane that they're supposed to win, they get picked up in a 2v2 kill. Lunarhawk, meanwhile, being forced out of his jungle by Simulcrum, or out of Simulcrum's jungle, rather, as Adjustment trying to pressure in on a Sleepy Voice.
Yeah, this is going to be a huge kill down on the bot side because Boosted Success doesn't have teleport. Should miss this majority of this wave, gives Adjustment and Vicro a free recall. And no matter what Adjustment goes back and gets here, he's going to feel pretty good, be it a cull, be it a tier, dependent on the gold value. This Senna is, getting a free lane at this point, and that's not what Glaive wanted.
Yeah, a little unfortunate that Maokai is the one to pick up that kill, but certainly nothing to scoff at nonetheless. That's going to be still 150 assist gold into the pocket of Senna. She's going to be using that to pick up the cull. Going to be continuing out the game plan of farming out this lane. One kill doesn't exactly change the champion picks, but certainly feels good to have that advantage. As Madman and Miho trading back and forth. Miho can do all the fancy plays he wants. Actually going to be trying to dive up and engage here, getting the Blade Dance stacked up, killing all those minions with the Blade Surge. Moving forward, trying to deal damage to the Madman.
Yeah, and this Time Warp Tonic Corrupting Potion start for Miho up on the top side really is just neutralizing this Garen pick. Garen's gone for the D shield and has the boots available, but the level of sustain that is available to this Irelia is just far too much for the Garen to be able to combat shorter style of trade, because yes, the Garen passive is nice, but it doesn't really have the same effect so early on. And,
and Miho misses the misses the flawless duet there, but is going to be able to engage back onto the Madman, dashing through the minions, trying to get those passes of Ion in front of her up. Meanwhile, there's an engage in a bot onto Boosted Success. Boosted Success does have access to Flash, not going to be able to use it. Simulcrum picks him up as Sleepy Voice is also forced back.
Yeah, and that's just a really well-played execution from the bot side. Adjustment and Vico both burning the flashes to force out Boosted Success, and nice little gank from Simulcrum to 100% secure that kill. See Princeton.
Yeah, Princeton able to land that Akali E, going to be diving back in, dealing some damage onto Panda. And by the way, boost to success now, 0 and 2. Dying once with both summoners up, maybe it's just conservative summoner spell usage. Dying twice with both summoners up, now you have to wonder, you know, can you really... You need to start being able to force them to make some kind of difference there. You can't just keep giving up kills for free. You need to be able to defend yourself in one way or another, and if even summoners can't get you out, maybe the positioning's the issue.
Yeah, exactly. It's something to definitely keep track of, and we have to, you know, praise the execution and the fact that, you know, Vicro and Adjustment are executing on this. Well, immobile to all intents and purposes, Samira was able to use a dash to get to safety, but mid lane is...
Ooh, and that's going to be the Annie ultimate onto Princeton. He's hiding out in the smoke shield, but doesn't have anywhere else to go. Going to be running away, healing up with that Q, running away. Meanwhile, there's going to be a face breaker onto 2 players from Omega Gaming. Smalcrum is getting forced back here by Lunarhawk. Miho and Lunarhawk able to present so much threat, even with the Annie ultimate down. It's going to be the members of Omega Gaming forced off of the mid lane.
Yeah, and they burn the TP from Miho as well, so it's just a sort of saved play from that teleport up on the Aurelia. Means that the mid lane isn't exploited by Unleashed. This entire time, the reason Vicro is allowed to roam so freely is just because this bot lane is pushed all the way under the turret for Adjustment, and when he's got this level lead as well, it's so hard to try and dive the center. She's got the Piercing Darkness to give herself a little bit of extra health, and the Shroud as well just means that it's so hard to get underneath the turret and get in range of doing all of that damage. Vicro now back in lane, and this could be a little chance to go in.
Yeah, it's going to be a snare here onto the Swain, but he's just going to be able to back away. It's so interesting to watch Viscero and Sleepy Voice fighting over this, the outlet in the bot lane, trying to get control in there, because if Maokai is able to get it, he's able to constantly be throwing saplings into all of the bushes, able to take complete control over the bottom half of the lane. Meanwhile, boost to success going in here, doing as much damage as possible. Adjustment is chunked out very low, incredibly fast, but is going to be exhausted and is just going to run away.
Yeah, and that's the power of these summoner spells for Glaive here. The heal used to keep boosted success at a nice level of HP, but Adjustment has TP. Smalcrum's on the flank.
Madman and Miho fighting back and forth up here, but meanwhile, boosted success getting engaged onto the bot lane, going to be dived on by 2 players here, definitely going to get taken down here by Viscero. Meanwhile, Miho going in onto the Madman here, going to be picking him up with a flash auto for the solo kill. Big plays coming out of Miho on this Irelia pick.
Yeah, just before Madman's flash came back up off of cooldown as well. It was so close to being available, but it just wasn't there for the Madman on this top side. Miho making things work on this Irelia. We talked about the style, the flair.
Sleepy Voice potentially picking up on the Viscero here. Lunarhawk coming down just in case he pushes up too far, but senses something's a little out of the ordinary and backs up as much as they can. Meanwhile, though, we have to talk about Madman's Garen counter pick here is not working out the way that they hoped it would in the champion select.
No, it's not. This top lane has been pretty rough so far, and Lunarhawk?
Princeton getting forced away here by Lunarhawk. Lunarhawk is so fast, going to flash, get the face breaker, and then Princeton hits the blast cone and is forced back. Meanwhile, has to flash over into the red buff to try to stay alive. Miho getting engaged here by Smalcrum. Smalcrum and Madman. Madman flashes forward, gets the Demacian Justice onto Miho to pick up the kill here.
So yeah, 1-for-1 overall right there. Madman getting a little bit back in this side lane up top. Vicro just beefing around in the bot lane brushes here. Yeah, the 1-for-1 up on the top side is you know, going to be quite beneficial, because Madman was having a pretty tough time up here, right? That's pretty safe to say, and now he's been able to shut down the Aurelia, deny her from farming a little bit, and then also get a little kill back for himself. Gonna sort of not stabilize him, but put him in a much better position, because he's still behind on experience and still in a rough spot.
And this is the point where Miho's going to be in a little bit of a trough as far as power level goes. You know, when you're able to spam the Blade Surge in the early levels, Irelia is very powerful. But while you're waiting on completing that first item, that Blade of the Ruin King, is when you start to see a little bit less power. You don't quite have that regen. You don't quite have the attack speed to get all the passive stacks from your Ionian Fervor going as quickly as you can. And it's an opportunity that the Madman seizes on and is able to pick up. Meanwhile, Lunarhawk and the rest of Glaive eSports are looking to get this Rift Herald. Madman caught out in the pit, does not have any flash, is not able to get away, is going to be picked up here. Can he do anything? No. Panda picks up the kill.
Yeah, that's just, I mean, it's a freebie for Glaive here. Madman walking himself into the pit, and even if he walked up there, the chase down would have been there with the movement speed from Annie and the stun available. It's one sacrificed for an overextension. They do burn the TP from Panda to make that play happen, so Glaive are going to get the Rift Herald for themselves, and you know, first Rift Herald has a 100% win rate in this series. I'm just saying. I mean, there's only been 2 games. It's not the largest of sample size, but there's been a lot of usages over this Rift Herald, and this game feels a lot closer so far. But Adjustment.
When there's a fight in bot lane as Adjustment is getting snagged up by the Swain, going to be getting the heal down from using the Q on the minions, going to be pushing on to Boost of Success as Boost of Success is engaged on by this 2-0 Maokai. So much damage coming out here as Princeton coming down on the roam, able to pick up a kill on a Sleepy Voice, and it's going to be a double here as Viscera looking to pick up his 3rd kill of the game, and he gets it. Maokai carrying here in this support position.
I mean, it might not be a farming Maokai, but it's definitely getting the majority of the gold. We have to look on this top lane though. Lunarhawk and Miho are making things happen with this Rift Herald. They're getting a lot of gold onto this Aurelia and to this set. Madman going to get denied quite a considerable amount as well. But it's 2 kills.
And that's that lane advantage that Miho's been able to develop coming to fruition. Miho already was so far ahead of Madman that he had picked up 2 plates on his own. There's only 3 plates left, and that's enough for them to force through with the Rift Herald, able to bring all the way into a second charge, get an inner turret as well, and just like that, it is a massive gap in the top lane.
Exactly, and it's again, as you say, all off the top side, or just the laning prowess. Madman going in to try and stop the recalls. Princeton's here as well.
Madman is down 1 level, but Princeton is coming in on the flank here. Miho understands that something is fishy and is just going to run away rather than take the fight. That's going to be it.
Yeah, and this is going to be a game of sides of the map, essentially. Which side is stronger? We've got Aurelia for Glaive, who is, you know, 1-1-2, fairly modest scoreline, but it's so far ahead of this Garen that we need to, you know, anticipate that and anticipate the fact that the Aurelia will be strong. And then similarly on this bot side of the map, we've got Adjustment, who feels like, you know, he's been funneled a lot of experience, not necessarily a lot of kills. I mean, if I was sitting at a 4-0 center, I'd be a much happier Omega Gaming Unleashed fan right now.
Yeah, Viscera just trying to transition some of that pressure he's got bot lane around the map, but between being stuck in a 2v1 for too long means Adjustment just eventually has to call him back so that they can safely get some farm together.
Exactly. Sleepy Voice doing a really good job down there. We've seen it poking out this Senna. Obviously it is Senna, so is able to sustain up quite handily using turrets, using minions as targets for the Piercing Darkness. And already just Sleepy Voice going for cute little trades here. It's pretty much what you want to do as Swain, is just pull in whoever you can, because even if you don't necessarily fully engage on them, you're going to keep getting soul fragments, and soul fragments equal HP, and I think that the soul fragments are also giving you other bonuses once you use your ultimate, so using it whenever you can pretty much is pretty advised. It's on about a 10-second cooldown at least at level 1, so you can get quite a fair few of those stacks built up early on in the game.
And I'd like to call attention to the Madman on his most recent recall has picked up the Stinger. He is not compromising this game plan one bit. Whether you start dominating the lane in this Aurelia Garen matchup or you go 1-3, going right into the Triforce. Doesn't even know what Black Cleaver is.
I mean, I like it because since one of, well, I'll say one of Garen's most recent changes was his scaling with attack speed, right? His E now does more damage based on the amount of attack speed that you have, or applies the true damage more often. Princeton, though, caught mid lane.
This is going to be an engage here on a Princeton. Princeton taking so much damage here, going to be hiding out in the smoke shroud, but is it going to be enough? Gets spotted here and is immediately dashed on by Miho as Miho picks him up. Miho trying to go into Smalcrum here, but realizes he's outmatched by the turret here too. Viscera going to go down onto Miho here, trying to pick them up, but going to be suplexed away by Lunarhawk. Huge play to save his carry there, as it's just going to be a 1-for-0 in the favor of Glaive.
Huge play from everybody on Glaive to save the carry, and he flash ultis in. Lunarhawk flash ulti to save as well. Everybody just collapsing in, and you know, collapsing on Vikro of all people, who was the one lone Maokai trying to take down the last remaining slithers of HP onto the Aurelia. Makes it out to safety and uses the Blade of the Ruined King, uses the flash to make it out. Adjustment on this Senna, not yet reaching the point of dishing out so much consistent damage. Smalcrum flashing in.
It's going to be an engage onto Panda here as they're going to flash in on him, pick him up with the Demacia Justice. Easy pickup there. Probably a bit too far up for Panda, given that they did not know where many of the members of the opposing team were.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is indeed the case right there. It's unfortunate that he stands that far forward, but at the end of the day, he's going to make himself pay. Double flash burned by Smalcrum and by the Madman on the top side is not ideal. You know, having those guys with no flash for the foreseeable future is not what you want. And Princeton,
Miho going in here again onto Princeton, just so clean on this Irelia, able to get dashes forward, able to set up the minions behind him to dash back to them. Now that he's completed that Blade of the Ruin King, his Blade Surge does enough damage that he can reliably last hit those caster minions, giving himself so much more mobility.
exactly, and you know, we see the sort of intimidation ignite come out from Princeton really just to dissuade the dive. It's quite infrequent that you see the ignite used as a defensive summon as well, but I feel like in that situation was really just a please don't go any further than this, I will ignite you, and that was sort of all that he'd got to deter the Irelia from going in. But I mean, this is super close. I don't think it's super close actually at this point. The kills are definitely in favor of Unleashed, but the gold is so much further in favor of Glaive, and the places that the gold is located is much better as well. You know, you look across...
The Dragons are in favor of Omega Gaming Unleashed, so they do have an opportunity here to try to snowball that Dragon lead. If they can win just 2 more Dragon fights, if they're able to pick up these last 2 Dragons, definitely going to be doing a lot of work to catch them up, that Infernal Soul will.
I think that's a big ask though, to try and win 2 fights at this stage, and they know it as well. Guarantee peeing in from the top side.
Yeah, here we go. It's going to be a 5-on-5 in the bot lane. We've got to feel like this favors Glaive both because of the gold and just because of the team compositions, but Omega Gaming forced into this position as they're losing in most other areas of the game. They have to go for this Dragon Soul. Madman going to be aggroing up and pulling it out here as both parties are starting to group around the Dragon. We can see that Glaive eSports is forced back into their own jungle. They need to start moving out into the river. They're coming in for a flank, a pincher onto the rest of Omega Gaming as they engage with the Blade Dance, doing as much damage as possible. Glaive Panda going to be able to be hitting up with the Tibbers, but so much damage is coming out. Boost to success, lands a massive Samira ultimate, able to pick up the triple kill almost instantaneously. Adjustment is the last person standing. He backs up into the mid lane, and that's going to be a huge fight win for Glaive eSports.
Yeah, I mean, just look at, you mentioned this in the draft, look at the AoE team fighting potential that Glaive have got, right? The Infernal Trigger, the set everything, Swain everything, on top of Samira's Infernal Trigger that went absolutely huge in that team fight. There's just no way that Unleashed can contest it at this stage yet. You know, they were down 2 or 3k before that fight, down considerably more now, down an Infernal Dragon, now even on gold, but the kills tell now even on kills, but the gold tells an entirely different story. This should be the 3rd or 4th turret, in fact, of the game. The 3rd actually, is tier 1 mid still remains, but I can't imagine that lasting too much longer. Herald on the table for another 2 minutes, and Glaive should be in a good spot to go take this.
Yeah, no, and just like that, some of the last hopes of Omega Gaming get dashed there in that team fight. A huge, clean team fight coming out of Glaive as they're able to throw down their huge AoE abilities onto the entirety of Omega Gaming. The showstopper, the huge Vanguard's Edge coming out of Irelia in order to just maximize the amount of damage they're able to put out. Summon Tibbers, Swain Ultimate, every bit of it, layers together to just melt through that roster.
And we see now for Unleashed that their game plan becomes pretty difficult, right? Because they'd want to split push with Akali and Garen and make things happen around these strong solo laners, but the Akali doesn't have the ability to burst through all of this HP that the Annie has built up, and the Garen can't handle the Irelia off in the side lane, so, you know, they'd have to try and flex the lane assignments around some way, but, and this is what they're doing here. Look, Madman trying to go down onto this Annie, but
yeah.
Just
Madman just getting engaged here by Panda. Tibbers is going to keep running him down. If he gets another stun, that's going to anger Tibbers, get him that boost, but Madman able to walk away. Panda just going to chill out here with her big Teemo and to see what they can do to bully out the Madman.
Yeah, and you know, you'd seen in that team fight as well the amount of pressure that Unleashed put into the bot side of the map to try and keep this Samira down. All in vain. Comes up with a triple kill in that team fight. Now as the 300 gold bounty was 0-4-0 at one point, now 3-4-0. Still not the KD that an AD carry wants, but you can see the power that this Samira is going to have in the team fights. At this stage is so much more than the Senna. The Senna still not completed any real lethality items at all here. Had to go for the Executioner's Calling because of the Swain, because of the Irelia, and because of the set. You know, there's no anti-healing across the rest of it. One Bramble Vest on the Garen isn't going to cut it. Rift Herald used mid lane after they break the tier 1. Glaive looking to make this clinical.
Yeah, going to look to be making some huge plays here as Sleepy Voice is spotted out. They've got a flank here from Omega Gaming, but there is the Rift Herald pounding away at their turret. Glaive going to be looking to maybe advance here, but they're just going to abandon Shelly, they're going to abandon their Herald friend, and they're going to retreat back, make sure that they can keep this advantage.
I'm just extending that gold lead further and further. 5,000 gold now in favour of Glaive. Boosted success using that blade wall to deny the route from adjustment right there. Panda off on the wings, has Flash, has Tibbers. But he's got silence.
Going to be picking out here onto the Annie, but just stunned up onto the Madman. Madman taking so much damage here from the mid-support duo of the other team. Meanwhile, Boost to Success gets boosted out immediately by Simulcrum. This is an opportunity for Omega Gaming as they've already picked up 2 kills in the fight with only losing the Madman. Sleepy Boy's getting chased down to by Princeton. Princeton going to be able to pick it up. Princeton is now killed Swain. They're going to be chasing back the last 2 players. Big fight for Omega. We were saying they couldn't do it, and just like it, they pull it off.
Yeah, and that's because the setup wasn't there for Glaive. Unleashed were able to find them, catch them off guard. Tibbers didn't go into a big 5-man stack, and Unleashed found the members slightly split off. Boosted Success, I don't believe, used the Inferno trigger at all, and even with Flash and Heal expended, Simulcrum able to find 2 kills. Now we see Panda TP'd back up to the top side. He wants to stop this Baron. Lunahawk is on the bot side, Annie on the top side, Inferno Trigger coming through from the blue side. Baron's at 7k still. This isn't a fast Baron take by Unleashed by any means.
Yeah, Omega Gaming here moving on to the Baron, but Glaive is not willing to give it up, and meanwhile the Scuttler is going to be spawning. That's another objective to fight over. Glaive going to be looking to see if they can pick that up. Meanwhile, Viscero getting caught out by the Vision of an Empire from Swain, as everybody in Glaive is able to show up here. No Baron picked up for Omega Gaming off that team fight win.
No, and it would have been interesting to see if Glaive decided to rush it as a response here, because Unleashed have to reset and have to recall, but looks like with 20 seconds on the Dragon, looks like both teams are going to reset, maybe try and fight for this straight, because as you mentioned, Unleashed managed to find a fight. If they can find a similar situation where they find the same level of success, then there's definitely an avenue for them to get back into this game. But they're going to need to work for it and go quickly, because this Dragon spawns in 5 seconds, and Vicar's only just left the base.
Yeah, the problem is it is a 2-pronged threat coming out of Glaive. They need to shut down Miho, and they need to shut down Boost Success. Either can individually carry the fight to such a large degree. Sleepy Boy's forced into the Zonias right away, but the Dragon's already picked up by Glaive eSports. This fight could be over before it's even begun, as there's just no reason to fight anymore. Individuals are going to be backing off. That's going to be Dragon picked up by Glaive eSports, number 2 in the Infernal column.
The Blade Wall just removing the entire Maokai ultimate. Just, you know, quickly pop that up. Let me just remove 3 of the trunks and your entire engage has been thwarted right there. You know, and it's just so powerful with the zoning potential that the Annie has as well. Panda just stepped up, completely whiffed the Tibbers onto Simulcrum, but it didn't matter because it meant Simulcrum had to dip back, wasn't able to get anywhere near the Drake to steal it. Meant that the rest of Unleashed were also unable to get anywhere near to maybe contest a fight. We're still waiting on second items coming through for the majority of Unleashed here, and if we look across, the same story can be told for Glaive. Top side of the map, we've obviously got Miho, who's been funneled a lot of gold, has 2 items, and might look to abuse that on Princeton now.
Yeah, no, going in, Miho and Princeton on these 2 mechanical carries looking to outduel each other. But just going to be a disengage as both return to clear away their waves. Princeton probably had a bit of a gold disadvantage in that one-on-one, and yeah, for sure, is almost 2k gold behind Miho individually. It's not a fair fight.
No, I mean, especially with 2 completed items, Blade and the Black Cleaver, there's maybe a world where Princeton wins if he dodges absolutely everything from the Aurelia. But at this point, I think even the Ionian Further is enough to just be enough. So Malcolm might look for a dive here, but Lunahawk is nearby. Gonna spot that out.
No, looks like there might be a 2v2 in this top lane. Lunahawk might have caught a glimpse of Simulcrum there, blasting away with the blast cone. They're aware of where he is.
Yeah, at this point as well, Unleashed aren't looking for 2v2 kerfuffles or anything like that, because they are probably going to lose the majority of matchups that they find themselves in that case. They need to look for these 5v5 fights, but also try and find them and sort of disjoint them a little bit. You know, the team fight that they won, Annie wasn't particularly in a position to engage on anybody. It was sort of weird skirmishes where they were tearing Panda between 2 different positions and didn't quite know where to go. But Glaive have actually started up this Baron here, so Malcolm going to know that they've started it. And they're just going to back away pretty quickly. A little bit of a chunk out. Sleepy Voice going to lose about half of his HP right there, but nothing particularly to be said. We haven't got a Dragon for another 2 minutes 40. And we'll have to see if either of the teams are feeling brave enough to try and go back to this Baron, because so far it's been nothing but throws.
Yeah, the game's going to continue to be centered around this Baron until that next Dragon spawns. It's going to be up to who can maintain control over the area longest, just like that. Simulcrum coming up with Viscero on the backup, going to be looking to clear away some of this vision that Glaive just put down. going to be seeing if they can take control of the Baron and potentially threaten it themselves.
Yeah, and this is typically how, you know, Baron's setup goes. One team goes in, clears it all out, and then the leading team goes in to re-establish themselves with the vision. That being said, Unleashed, for me, definitely not the leading team, but definitely were with the vision control. And interestingly enough, the Madman's actually managed to claw his way back somehow to being even in levels with Miho, be it that he throws a wave, be it that he's started just farming more than the Aurelia. It's quite impressive that he's actually back into this game and definitely going to be dealing a considerable portion of damage. Working towards what looks like a Death's Dance is his second item as well. Going to make him incredibly difficult to kill here on this tanky Juggernaut-style champ.
Yeah, the Madman's found himself in a lot of one-on-one matchups with Panda's Annie, where, you know, the Annie can keep doling out the poke damage onto him, but it just gets ignored by the Garen W whenever possible, and it's just never able to actually present kill threats, so Madman's still able to farm. Meanwhile, Viscero getting caught out by the Annie that we just talked about, bursted out instantly, Knight's Vow plus Aegis plus Merc Treads, not enough magic resist.
No, it isn't, and when Boosted Success is there with the follow-up auto attack to provide that knock-up, that fabled random CC that Samira has, really was the sealed deal there. Vicro not able to use the flash to get out to safety, and at this stage, with the Baron started up, Malcolm and the rest of Unleashed still have enough damage to maybe contest this.
Yeah, no, this is the opportunity that Glaive was waiting for now, that they're in a 4v5. They're going to be looking to start up this Baron wherever they possibly can. The Madman and Princeton going to be looking for the flank here. Both get rooted up by Sleepy Voice, though. Sleepy Voice going to be starting to engage here. This is the opportunity they were looking for. This is their go button. Sleepy Voice flashes forward and picks them up with the Demonic Ascension. Meanwhile, flashing in, trying to steal the Baron, but it's picked up by the Samira. Boosted Success, making sure that her team is able to get on to that Baron.
Yeah, early smite from Samalcrum and just no smite at all from Lunarhawk, able to come through. Dragon gonna be the next objective though. Starts in 7 seconds.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a 4v4 for this Dragon as it spawns up. OGU still feels like they should be able to challenge this in the 4v4. They're only missing their mid laner versus Sleepy Voice, who's missing on the other side. They're going to be starting this up right away. Lunarhawk does have the flash, is going to be coming in to try to steal. It does manage to steal it. Blue team has stolen the Infernal Drake and gets a showstopper onto the entire team, trying to win the fight here. Viscero and Adjustment have to run away as the entirety of Glaive eSports is chasing onto them, especially Lunarhawk, who's going to be looking to get a face breaker as soon as he can. Gets forced back, is being slowed down too much by that Glacial Augment from the Senna.
So they don't get the Dragon and they lose one on top of that. Miho dashing forward, probably not going to go for it just yet, but Baron in the buff slots here. Gonna look towards some turrets, but
Madman coming for a huge flank here, going in with the blast cone, going to be spinning onto all three members as Princeton and his team follow up behind. Princeton able to dash in and pick up Boosted Success instantly. It's a huge opportunity for Omega Gaming as Viscero's jumped into everybody and is knocking them all back as another kill is picked up, followed by another one. Now it's only Miho looking to dive in onto three members in a 1v3, trying to outplay, but not going to be able to do it.
Ooh.
Knocked around, picked up by the Senna, and it's going to be a fight win for Omega Gaming.
Yeah, they take the advantage right there. A 5v4, I believe, overall. I think it was maybe even a 4v4. Samalcrum waiting on the respawn, but Princeton going huge in that team fight. The engage from the Madman, using the blast cone over the wall to buy time for Princeton to get in. Uses the flash, uses the perfect execution. That Twilight Assault as well to keep himself safe and shrouded up means that Unleashed are able to walk in and take a team fight win here. Glaive Panda still has the Baron buff, but with only maybe 1 minute or so left on that, nothing particularly garnered, and Unleashed are stalling pretty well here. We're waiting for Adjustment to start doing the big damage, and in that fight, with the Mirror Mana, with this now Edge of Night as well, feeling quite safe versus this pick-style engage that Sleepy Voice and Panda have got with the stuns and roots, we could start seeing Adjustment go huge. He's got the last Whisper now as well, Executioner's calling on top, just waiting on that final Combine for the Mortal Reminder. And Mirror Mana fully upgraded, as I mentioned. Senna getting AD from all of the souls as well. Got to do the compulsory soul check at this stage of the game. Nearly 60 souls at this point, 59 if they collect that one.
Man looking to chase in here onto Sleepy Voice. Ye of little faith, who say that Garen has no engage. Man is making it happen here with these blast cones, with his Demacia Judgment, just able to walk forward. Meanwhile, we've got a pause in the game.
We do. Adjustment just... taking, I don't know what the issue with the pause is. If you've got a chat in order, you feel free to...
I do. So Omega Gaming has their bot lane DC'd, and Glaive eSports is taking advantage of the opportunity for a quick bathroom break.
Makes sense. I mean, this has been a big series, so no disinterest in the fact that they're taking a little bit of a taking that advantage to go off and have a restroom break. Things like that is definitely necessary. I think this is a perfect time for us to sort of take stock of the game and note notable objectives, what's going on everywhere on the map, and whilst all of these neutral objectives are being fought over, since that early game when we mentioned that Unleashed had got the 2 dragons, Glaive have picked up all 3 Infernal Drakes since, so even when they get this Infernal Soul, or if they don't get it, they've still got quite a large chunk of statistics just in their back pocket from the triple Infernal that they've managed to get for themselves. It's not by any means going to be the same as if they do get the Infernal Soul, because that would be the leading buff that we want to talk about, but 4 Infernal stacked Infernal Soul is pretty lethal because you just do so much more damage than you would do with the standard 2 that it's just really not the same. I think that also, this Ocean Drake 4 Unleashed is going to be quite nice. It's, sitting doing nice little ticks of damage, but that's not what they want. They want the soul.
Yeah, that's certainly something that people were talking about a lot in the preseason when they first introduced these new dragon changes. It's just those individual drakes that aren't being stacked, the one mountain or the one air drake and the one ocean drake that Omega Gaming had picked up. They're basically useless at this point. The numbers on the individual drakes themselves are just so low. They scale exponentially as you get more of them. So that third Infernal Drake, and even more so that 4th Infernal Drake, is just going to give you so many more stats than any other individual drake ever could. It's actually a massive drake advantage for the side of Glaive eSports at this point.
Exactly, and just going through as well where the power lies on either side here. A lot of the resources were funneled into the bot lane early on, or it felt like at least a lot of bot side advantages were able to be established for Unleashed. But Adjustment sat here with 10 assists and not 10 kills, which is definitely not what you want as your AD carry, right? But Senna, we all know, fills that more supportive role until these late game team fights, 30-40 minutes into the game, where she's managed to pick up enough stacks to just be an absolute nuisance in a team fight and pretty much just outrange the rest of the composition, right? Annie, Aurelia, Set, most of which have good backline access, but if
Samira as well.
Yeah, exactly. With the dash in with the Samira giving the attack speed too, there's so much backline access and Adjustment. The fact that he hasn't died yet is actually baffling to me, that he's just positioning well enough to keep himself safe in all of these team fights, and also using that Piercing Darkness when it looked like Miho could have gone absolutely huge in the 1v3. The Piercing Darkness was what kept all 3 members of Unleashed alive, and then resetting the Q cooldown so that the Aurelia wasn't able to continue dashing around and doing all of that good stuff.
Yeah, to talk a little bit more about Adjustment, definitely a bit of an unsung hero this game. And, you mentioned that you would rather they be picking up more kills. But other than the 4 that have gone on to Viscero, I honestly feel like you would rather have the kills on a Garrett and a Graves and a Kali versus something like a Senna. So definitely can't fault them too much for not having a huge kill score. But certainly, you mentioned the Piercing Darknesses. You also definitely want to be looking at that last embrace that he's been landing a lot of. He's been throwing out those W's pretty often on point right into boost his success, usually forcing out that Blade Whirl to prevent Boost's success from actually ending up snared up by that, and that frees up that ability for later on in fights when the fights do break out, meaning that they can't be doing what Boost's success was doing earlier. Can't blast out all the roots from Maokai ultimate, can't blast out all of the Graves damage early on in one fight by taking away the Q in the ultimate, can't blast out, the E from Akali and prevent Akali from engaging. That's definitely making a big difference in a lot of these fights.
Exactly, and if like you say, that cooldown is expended, it reduces Samira's ability to do anything so exponentially at this point, as you pointed out so rightly. Especially with all of the Akali damage as well. That's just another cherry on top of that. But on the side of Glaive, right, we have to sort of take a moment to sort of acknowledge that Panda's 4-1 and 5 on this Annie, right? He's got Rod of Ages, got Leandri's, looking like he might work towards either the Spellbinder or the Rabadons. I think that the movement speed is heavily underrated on Annie and probably worth the just at least considering picking up. But
and we are getting R's in the chat as the gameplay is going to resume in 2, 1. And we are back into game here. Everybody has repaired their machinery. Everybody has gotten reconnected to the game. And we are going to be finding out who the winner is here soon enough.
30 minutes in, we can't be sat here for too much longer, right? You have to imagine that at some point soon, There's going to be a big enough team fight to re-pick up here. I'm going to ask you, Gordo, to just pause at 30 minutes for me.
I did it too. It happened to me too. I think we're still good.
I mean, we'll do it anyway because at some point it's gonna do it for me and not for you, or the other way around.
Sure.
So if you guys at home don't know, League of Legends client, we're obviously not, we're both in the client right now, spectating the same game, but the feed, obviously because I am across the big boy pond, sometimes gets delayed for being not so delayed for the other casters. So by doing this, we just make sure that we're all good and synced up and giving you the same game and making sure Gordo doesn't look too much like a five-head predicting the entire play-by-play.
Exactly. Okay. All right. What time are you at?
I'm at 30 exactly.
Okay, I will. 30-30, you mean?
No, 30-0-0.
Oh, 30-0-0. All right, I gotta get a little bit of a rewind going there. Give me 1 second, and I am here.
Perfect. Unpause for me in 3, 2, 1. Unpause.
All right, and we are back.
And I'm going to do a customary center check because we kind of got through into a fight right there. But she's finally reached 60, so 675 range now on this center, and no rapid fire cannon to speak of just yet, you know, to apply those super long range glacial augment slows. But now has 25 extra range than Caitlyn, by far the longest range AD carry at any point. Feeling quite safe on the center, hopefully. Has the flash available, has teleport as well, so might be able to join the team should any side lane shenanigans occur within the next couple of minutes. This is something to keep track of because TP cooldowns in late game are, you know, how teams can win through macro gameplay. If they just walk into a lane, oh wow.
Ooh, that's a big amount of damage on a Sleepy Voice. I'm not sure that adjustment even, can just burst them out instantly. And just like we were saying during the pause, adjustment, the unsung hero of this game, now that he's got 2.5 items in his back pocket, now that he's got all those Senna stacks, he is ready to start dealing some damage and just picks off Sleepy Voice almost single-handed.
So there was a Maokai sapling there, but that was Last Embrace auto, Q auto from the Senna, and that was it. There was 4 instances of damages on top of obviously the Maokai sapling, but you know
and the Senna passive.
Yeah, of course. That's not a lot of time it took to burn down the Maokai. You know, Senna doesn't have to reload. Senna had to walk around a massive wall to do that damage, but can probably pump that out in a fairly quick space of time. Obviously, Sleepy Voice had the Zhonya's, didn't decide to burn it because there was nothing particularly on the table, and you can see that Unleashed with that kill of you know, reset and got Adjustment's first kill, or third item rather, and picked up an extra longsword on top, but nothing lost particularly. Unleashed setting up vision around this dragon now. This is going to be Soul for the side of Glaive if they decide to go for it. The fact that this is Soul opens up the option of a swap and a rotate up to Baron if you are Glaive. Obviously there is a slightly desynced respawn timer, but they have that option open to them.
Yeah, they certainly do. And, you know, I was about to mention after that Senna play that the low-range members of Glaive are going to have to watch out for that going forward. But all the members of Glaive are low-range. There's so much potential impact here coming out of this Senna. But meanwhile, the Madman is going to be fighting up here with Miho. This is the counter-pick Garen that was supposed to be able to deal with this Irelia and is going to, in this instance, be able to just kind of clear the wave and we'll call it quits.
But now Miho's going to have the flank angle on the rest of Unleashed here. Going to probably get seen on these minions, but TP's back down to the bot side.
So not going to be a flank, actually going to be rejoining the rest of his team here. Meanwhile, the Madman is trying to just run down, but Facebreaker pulls into Malcolm and is able to pick him up almost instantly. That's going to be the smite. The Maokai ultimate comes across from everybody as they're going to be diving in onto this Samira, but are not able to do it solo. Princeton is going to be left alone and is going to be picked up for a double kill. This is going to be a huge fight coming in. Madman is able to pick up one with Demacian Justice. Adjustment is backing up, trying to keep alive with the piercing light, excuse me, as the Madman able to pick up another kill here. Madman is running through everybody on Glaive Esports here. That is going to be a triple kill for him. He is now left alone with Lunarhawk. It is a one-on-one as Panda has already retreated, but Panda is going to be TPing back to mid lane here, going to be looking to pick up the Dragon Soul. Madman, can you stop this Dragon Soul 1v2? Here we go.
Single job is to try and keep them away.
Going to be engaging here, but forced back.
Tibbers almost already back off cooldown, and with the bear in range as well. Malcolm now respawned. Madman maybe looking to go in. 4,000 HP.
Madman cannot do this, but Madman is going to come up and try to steal the dragon here. He goes in onto Panda, but it's just not able to melt through him fast enough. Actually, he's dealing so much damage with the spin. Actually, is able to pick up Panda. Now Lunarhawk has to run away. He cannot win a 1v1 with the Madman. The Madman manages to pull off the miracle play, forces off Lunarhawk, kills Panda, and saves the soul from going over to the other team, as his team is now here to pick it up. We're going to be on soul point from both teams. We're going to 7 Drakes this game, Rudude.
And not just that as well, this is a big respawn time of a Panda. Unleashed here might have an opportunity to go toward the Baron in a numbers advantage. Looks like they're just going to be happy to deny the soul, but Madman living up to his name, going in 1 versus 2 and just face tanking it. Death Stance Conqueror combo. I mean, yes, you don't expect the damage from Set to be all that great this late in the game, but the Annie with 3 items, you're expecting something. There was just nothing that the Annie could do.
Yeah, no, you know, I've been throwing shade at this Garen pick the entire game, but Madman coming through when it counts, able to pull off the 1v2, able to keep his team in the game, prevent that Infernal Soul from going over. And now everybody's going to be grouping around the minions. This game feels wide open.
Don't forget, that wasn't just a 1v2. He saved the entire team fight. So Malcolm and Princeton were pretty caught out. They were dead very quickly. Adjustment did the best that he could. But he managed to mop up 4 members at the back end of that team fight as well. That wasn't just the 1v2 from half HP. He did so much more prior.
Yeah, no, a massive fight from the Madman there, able to pick up so much ground individually. And now that's a whole nother threat that all of Glaive eSports has to be keeping an eye out on. You know, you might have written off the Garen at this point if you've been playing through this entire 35 minutes plus pause of gameplay, where Garen hasn't really been able to have that big of an influence, where Garen's been losing in lane to the Irelia. But now, you know, Irelia's 2-5, Garen's 8-5. Garen's got just as many items as she does, and Garen able to come up and have huge impact in these fights.
Exactly, maybe not winning the split push like we expected it to, but having so much more impact. So Malcolm may be caught out here, but he's just going to be able to get away. Baron's still available here, not another Drake for 3 minutes, and that Drake will be fought for because it is a soul for either side. But right now we've got posturing on Baron. I don't know that Baron's been taken by any... It's been taken by Glaive once. But, man, absolutely mental in that fight. It looks like Glaive are trying to set up a trap.
Glaive trying to set up here, but they're just going to be caught out by saplings. You know, Viscero is way ahead of them on this department. Viscero knows that, you know, if they're hiding in bushes, the saplings will scout them out. We'll be able to face check without actually throwing any of our players in there. And traps like that, just not going to work into the Maokai support. Meanwhile, Madman coming in on the flank, able to almost immediately burst out Sleepy Voice, forcing him into the Zonias, but Boost to Success is already down. This fight is already over, as Adjustment is cutting through every member of Glaive eSports. The Madman is going to try to pick up Panda for this last kill. 4-4-1 in favor of Omega eSports. They're going to be looking to bust open this base.
Yeah, and they might be looking to end here. They need to make a decision. Are they ending or are they going for the Baron? Because if they think they can end, then they're going to have to go hard for it. 20 seconds to cut through 4 structures here. They've gone through 1. They have an inhibitor and 2 more Nexus turrets after this turret as well. 12 seconds on Sleepy Voice. This is going to be close.
They're actually able to melt through it so fast, though. They have this Akali and this Garen have built damage stats on top of the 280 carries that are already going to be melting through these turrets so quickly. It's going to be such a close fight, as Panda is coming here trying to delay them as much as he can, but Smalkram is dealing so much damage to these turrets, not getting stunned up. They're just focusing the Nexus. They're just tearing it down. The other members aren't going to respawn in time, and Omega eSports is going to take the series.
That was a very close game for both teams. The gold difference at the end is 400 gold. Unleashed with the 1 team fight at 35 minutes that just wins them the game. It feels almost anticlimactic for a game of such caliber and such like intensity to end in just 1 team fight, not even after an objective. But that was honestly very intense and super well played by... I want to give credit to both teams.
Yeah, absolutely able to give us a banger of a series here. Each team able to dominate one another in games 1 and 2, and bringing us the incredibly close game 3, as you said, separated by only a couple hundred gold as we're looking at the end of game screen here.
Yeah, and you know, the end of game stats don't tell lies, right? This Annie was doing so much damage, and it felt like that last team fight that went out, it was just Princeton diving in and killing Samira pretty much off spawn. The Samira had no impact in that final team fight right there because she just got focused down. Yes, the catch was initially onto Sleepy Voice, but Princeton was able to find the flank angle onto boost his success and take the Samira out before the fight had even begun. And as soon as your Samira is out of the fight, that is all of your consistent damage. The Aurelia not having anywhere near the impact that we'd see the Garen have later on. And, we touched on it slightly about mid game where Garen had come back to have an actual level lead, and we kind of thought, oh, okay, this is interesting. Been on a 1v1 for a while, but with that level lead, just took it to an absolutely whole other level in the dragon fight and just tearing open Glaive at the dragon.
Yeah, and props to Omega Gaming Esports for recognizing the threat that the Samira presented this game. Last game, the Samira was able to pop off, deal so much damage to every member of the team, and carry through the game. And then this game, Samira also was still able to win one of the early team fights, almost single-handedly picking up a triple kill this game. But at the end of the game, held to only 11k damage, not able to have that solo carry performance that we saw in game 2, able to shut it down and able to guarantee themselves the win.
Exactly, and that we talked about the standings implications at the beginning of the night. Well, we rerun it through you guys again. This now means that both of these teams are 2-2, right? Evening up the standings pretty nicely here, keeping Unleashed in that tight pack at the top. With Team Quintessence and Team Aquila as well, who Aquila previously undefeated. We'll have to see how their games have gone out tonight, but Unleashed separating themselves from at least the bottom half of the squad here, going 2-2, making themselves have a nicer game record at least, and that's a super important win for them here.
Certainly some great clutch performances coming out of the Omega Gaming members in this game, and they've got to be feeling good about themselves, managing to pull back from the game that way in Game 3, managing to make it matter and make it happen when it counts.
Exactly, and I think Gordo, that's all I've got. So if you wanna take us away, because that was I want people to remember that was beautiful.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that will be it for LHGUL this week. Thank you for tuning in to Omega Gaming Unleashed, taking down Glaive Esports in 3 games. Special thanks to Rudude for casting this along with me, and for the others who were able to pay visit throughout this game. Thanks again to Last Hit Gods for the raid, and for anybody who is tuning in from over in that stream. And I think that's going to be about it.
Peace, guys.